Hello there, Seraphim17 once again, bringing you Chapter 3 in my Crysis 2 Super Soldier difficulty video walkthrough. And this one is called Road Rage. And the reason for that is going to be explained a little later on in part 2 of the video. But straight away I'm going to say that the dude in my intro, who is Pan from Castlevania, as I mentioned in the last video, when I first saw him in the game, really reminded me of Bahamut from the Final Fantasy series. And it's pretty hard to pinpoint which one, so I think it's just a culmination of all of them, because if you don't know, but in the Final Fantasy series, the summons, the GFs, the Aeons, the Espers, whatever you want to call them, because they change the names so damn frequently, the visual style for the different games was different every time. So for instance in 7, one summon would look different to what it did in 8 and 9 and 10 and so on and so forth. And I'm kind of thinking maybe Final Fantasy X, but minus all the ridiculous rainbow colours they had on him, because he was really colourful in that. He was like a fucking peacock. But he's a cool dude, and he's a very easy boss on that game if you know how to sync block. But enough about that. This is Crysis 2, so straight away this is another example of the in-game cutscenes that you can't skip, that are far too fucking frequent in this game. And we're watching this generic general argue with this man-faced woman who plays some part of the story, and then they both buzz off in the chopper and we have to sneak past a ton of guys. And right now I'm going to say there's an increase of difficulty right here. The open sections that you've just been doing pale in comparison to this one, because there's a lot more guys here, it's a lot longer, and there's armoured vehicles with mounted 50 cal gunners. So when I first got here on my initial playthrough of Super Soldier, I shot people with my silenced Scarab. I full-on sniped dudes from that window. I sniped everybody. And I went down this street very slowly, killing everybody in front of me. And it was pretty fun, it was pretty easy, but it took a long time. So what I'm going to show you here is the stealth approach, where I'm going to pretty much stealth this entire section. I'll get seen a couple times, but it's nothing game breaking because I go back into cloak and I managed to get away. But yeah, I died a few times on this on my first playthrough of the game, purely because it's the biggest area so far full of random soldiers, and they've probably got set routes or set routes that you can follow, that you can watch out for. But in all honesty, it's one of those things, unless you mark them with the visor, and you can only mark 3 guys, so it's not even that useful, I don't think. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but when you come down into the subway, there's nobody in the subway, so use this moment to regenerate your stealth, and keep moving onwards. And above me I can hear some dudes shooting, so it's making me wonder what the fuck's going off. But bang your stealth back on. Always be aware of your surroundings. Situational awareness is a really high thing about stealthing through this game. But if you've played any Metal Gear Solids, any, even Chronicles of Riddick, and the Dark Athena with Butcher Bay in it, there was a lot of stealthing around like that in this. Like this in that, should I say. The difference being, the AI in Chronicles of Riddick was the most ridiculous thing I've ever fucking seen. You could be completely in shadow, 100% stealth, and a robot would turn around like a full-on split-second turn directly to you and instantly kill you. And there was nothing you could do. It was just the AI was programmed too high. It was just programmed to be a bitch. A bit like Worms, if you've ever played Worms on a high difficulty, and all the computer does is bend the rocket launcher with the wind, and they end up doing fucking loop-the-loops with it and still hitting you from like 2 islands away. Or grenades, don't even get me started with the AI's grenade throws. Talk about fucking Zeus grenades. But when you get here, you've pretty much done the first stealth section, so you can come out of your stealth around where I am now and let it regenerate. And one thing that is kind of weird on this game, I don't know if it's a glitch, I don't know if it's intended, but sometimes your weapon will completely disappear from the screen. And it's kind of weird because it makes you forget you've got a gun. And there's a couple of sections in the game where, after cutscenes, when it loads in, you'll have a hand holding something that isn't there. And until you change your weapon, you've got no gun, and you can still fire your gun, so effectively, you've got an invisible gun to use for that level. And it's kind of funny, but I do think it's not intended. And right now, this is a bit of a clusterfuck, because as you can see, we're on a highway. There's the 2 separate lanes, and there's a lot of cars to use for cover, but on both sides of this highway there is a mounted gunner, on a 50 cal, and if he sees you, it's game over. He does far too much damage, far too quickly for you to put up any kind of a fight. And I've just come out of stealth there to regenerate, and some motherfucker saw me, so it just goes to show these big wagons aren't the best way to use for cover when you're regenerating. But the luxury of what I've just done is it lures the guys away. Because they've seen me and because they're investigating, it moves them out of position a little bit, and it enables me to move through. But this is key to stealth in the game, these little moments of reconnaissance where you're wondering if you can get past or whatnot. And when you get this close to people, watch your stealth meter. See how it went up? If that goes to completely full, they will see you and they will shoot you. If it goes really high but it isn't full, you're fine. And it's just about experience and knowing when to toe the line. Because right then, I could have been seen. In an unlucky run, I might have been seen. But that time, I was moving quick enough to get out of his range, and it started coming back down. Once you jump up here, you can come out of stealth, but there's always a chance some dude will see you because they've got ridiculous eyesights, and you'll notice it went up to red then because somebody did see me. So what I would advise is if you get behind these big concrete plinth things, these pillars, use this to regenerate, and you can move on. And it's a pretty long level, this one, because it's a lot of stealthing. And as you can see, there's ammo dumps everywhere if you're running and gunning. But truth be told, this is so much simpler if you don't. And just keep moving forward. And this is weird, because do you see the big bridge up there? I'm not too sure what kind of bridge it is, because it's New York. It could be fucking Brooklyn Bridge or anything, but I'm not too good with the geography of America, unfortunately. But up there on that big bridge, there's going to be a ton of dudes that will spawn and start shooting down at you. And they're a bit of a nuisance, but you can get underneath the bridge and then you completely neutralise any threat. You see them shoot at me then? So I go into stealth, I move a little quick, I come over here, and this is perfect cover for regenerating so that I can move onwards. But yeah, I'm no idea which part of New York this is set. For all I know, that could be the Hudson River, it could be fucking any river. But when you come in here, use the ammo dump. And then you see where that tunnel goes in there? You need to jump over the wagon's carriage, the 18-wheeler, and through here, and this is the next section. So as soon as you drop in, make sure you're in your crouch, make sure that you regenerate your stealth, and you can keep pushing on forward, because I think right now you're not in any trouble, so you don't have to take this as slow as I'm doing. You don't even need to cloak, because what's going to happen is a ton of buildings are going to drop down, shit's going to kick off, and a load of dust is going to be knocked up, so you're going to have a nice little stealthy dust section. And directly after this is probably the most challenging part of the level, because you have to sneak into a base and steal a tank. And sneaking into the base, it's pretty heavily fortified, and sometimes people will see you from ridiculous angles when you come out of stealth, and it's a little bit unfair. But I've got a nice little route for you, but be warned, the first time I tried this path, I got seen. So it's one of those, you know, it's like flipping a coin, this section. You're going to either get lucky or you're going to get unlucky, and hopefully you'll have my luck. And look at that. That dude is programmed to run all the way to a certain area on a pre-planned path so that he didn't even react to me passing him. And that's what I love about AI, because it has to follow a strict guidelines. They have a priority system in them. So for instance, if it has to go from A to B, its first priority is going to A to B, and only when it gets to B can it react as it would normally, because from there it is a sentry, effectively, but before it gets there it's just a useless line of code. And it's really interesting if you can, you know, get into a game so much that you know how to exploit those little kind of things. And right then, that was completely by accident by me. I did not know he was going to be that fast. I was just trying to rush this section because I had to reload because I'd fucked it up the first time. But that's why I like the action games so much, the action adventures, because if you learn those games well enough, you know how to do pretty much everything, and you can become extremely strong. But right now, this is the start of the difficult section, and there's a nice little ammo dump here with the grenades and a shotgun if you need them, but I'm going to be stealthing it, so just watch what I do.
No contact, all clear. All clear over here.
So if you come over to these pillars, you'll see that there's a lovely line into where the geometry is not quite sealed. And there's a guy there, so if you keep coming around here, To my right now, there's about 2 or 3 sentries that are walking around, that are stood, that are based in areas, and regardless of your distance from them, they will see you. So you need to be as slow as you can here, because there's nothing worse than getting caught out in the open and not having any energy. So once you get here, sit behind these wheels, come out of cloak, then regenerate your battery. Be careful though, because sometimes you can get spotted when you're behind the wheels, because for whatever reason, it's not the best cover. And then what I do is I sneak over here so I can regenerate my battery again, but you need to be really careful, because you know, to the left up that ramp, up there, do you see the tank? That bastard will shoot you. That bastard will hurt you so quickly, you almost have no chance of surviving if he gets a clean shot off on you. So if you come down into this corner, nobody should be able to see you. You should be able to throw your stealth on, and then you should be able to bomb across here. And ignore the waypoint that's telling you to go to that cracked wall, because you can't get through it yet. You have to go to the right, through this little like base setup or whatever it is, through these porta cabins and stuff. And if you come through here, be careful, there's a guard that paroles this area, and what will happen is if you come up against this and you come out of stealth, the tank sees you, but you can generally get through. And sometimes if you stay in any of this area and you try and get your cloak back, it should be fine. The only reservation you should have is there's one guy that paroles, and there's a couple of guys that can see you through the wall to your right. So it's one of those moments where you generally need a little bit of luck. And right now I should have carried on, but I wanted to go inside here to regenerate my stealth, because I didn't want to fuck up. So I come in this room, I sit here in this corner, and I regenerate my battery. But once you've got here, this part is pretty basic now. You've passed the difficult section. And then part 2 of this video is just an on-rails moment where you go and blow a lot of shit up, and it's dead simple. But keep stealthing through here. Make sure you crouch so that you don't drain too much energy. And even though there's a guy here that's on this gun, he does wander away and enables you to sneak past him quite easily. Then all you have to do is go to the left and you should see the tank. But we're coming to the end of this first part of chapter 3. So once again, people, thanks for watching. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe and support it as best you can. I cherish each and every one of you. And you take care now.